Hello, my name's Betsy and I work as a Customs Process Administrator for Maersk Logistics.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nicole and I work as a Customs Department Manager for Maersk Logistics.
For someone new in logistics, what is customs and international trade?
I think the easiest way to describe it would be it's a process of a buying and selling the goods between each country, and the buyer and the seller moving goods from one country to another. So the process of that, the exchange of the goods, the customs declaration, so all the rules and regulations around that.
Yep.
And ensuring obviously all the paperwork and everything on that. So it's the movement of the goods and just the rules on each origin and destination country.
Okay.
Could you give us an overview of your career up to this point?
So prior to working at Maersk, I worked for Bay Mid Suffolk Council for 4 years. So I joined Maersk afterwards with no customs knowledge whatsoever, and I've currently been there for 3 years.
Nice.
What about you?
Yeah, so I joined a small freight forwarding company when I was 18, I think it was. Just sort of learn the ropes on it and see what I picked up. I obviously had no experience either. I joined Maersk then a year after that. Again, wasn't 100% experienced in everything that Maersk currently do. And have kind of grown from the CPA position to team lead to then department manager.
Can you give us a snapshot of your daily weekly tasks?
Yeah, so I think for my team in particular at Maersk it varies day to day because of the nature of the role and the customers we deal with. Mm-hmm. That every day is completely different because we don't know what's going to land on our lap as such. So I think from a management point of view, it's very much supporting people, so supporting the team, supporting you guys with that. Your development if you want to progress, your training, making sure you're all up to speed with that and everything's good and you're comfortable in what you're delivering every day. There's also, communicating with other stakeholders, how we're doing, on that percentage as well, make sure all our productivity is included in that. And just day to day as well, just being support for you guys as well on that, and managing the financial side, making sure we're actually, making the money that we need to make as well. What about you? What does your day-to-day
my
task
daily
look like?
task, so same sort of thing. Obviously, making sure deadlines are met, prioritising work, because obviously we work in a queuing system of when shipments are arriving. Just making sure them deadlines are met, because if not, obviously additional charges for the customer or the company, depending on whose fault it is. Reports, customer calls, emails, same sort of thing.
Would you say that customs is all about paperwork? What's your view?
I wouldn't say it's all about paperwork at all. I would say it's a very important part in the sense of the information on the paperwork needs to be correct, because we obviously need to declare the goods correctly on the entry. So in terms of creating the entry, I would say it's an important part, but I feel like there's many other things that come with customs alongside just the entry. What is something that you do in your role that others would be surprised by?
I think this is a really tricky one. I think a lot of people outside of work, when we say we work in customs, expect us to be at the port, opening containers, looking around, and that isn't what we do. We are sat at a desk, 9 till 5, and I think that's the perception of our job is when you say customs, everyone thinks that, whereas I think we're actually a lot more into that sort of looking at paperwork, entries, different systems, and trying to keep up with the latest technology as well. That it's not it used to be very black and white, handwritten, you'd have to actually go to the port. Whereas now we're trying to look at all AI and see how that works in customs as well. So I think that would be something that I'm not sure people would know about our role.
Okay. So what are the hardest challenges you've faced in your career to date?
I think one everyone can relate to in shipping and logistics was obviously the Brexit. Yeah. I think that caused a lot of extra additional work for everyone. We went from a very small team that filled, less than 100 people to now over 200 people plus to get the work done. So the volume increased a lot drastically, and it was very we just had to get it done. There wasn't anything else we could do. It had to be done. The goods needed to be moved and cleared. I think that's a big one. And then obviously shortly after it, we had COVID.
Yeah.
So we'd obviously had all these new people in for Brexit, and then we've all had to go home and work from home. That no one, especially that we worked with, had ever worked from home before. So that's a new challenge, trying to teach people like yourself who didn't have that experience starting with the company are now finding themselves working from home and trying to learn the role on Teams, I think is really hard. And training someone on Teams. So I think, for obvious reason, that is really, really tricky. And I think, one of the biggest factors of my career, I think that was challenging. The long hours, especially when Brexit hit, was something. It was tough. So moving on from obviously the challenges, what about any career highlights?
I would say since working at Maersk, my 2 highlights would be being chosen to be both CDS champion and helping to train the team on our new system United. So obviously moving from an old system to a new system, obviously being given the training prior to teaching the team and then getting all the team on it. So I would say that's been quite a highlight. What about you?
I would say my highlight would be the progression that I think Maersk offers to us. Like I say, I started at a company that I didn't even realise if I wanted to be anything other than a CPA. I think as the time goes on and you build and you get comfortable and, that progression is very key focused and we want to develop people and you don't have to have knowledge to come and start at customs. I think we both can vouch for that we don't have to. And I just think the opportunities that have come with that progression, things like being able to lead the team and, opportunities of getting involved on projects, again, a bit like what we're saying on the new systems and learning all of that is a really nice side of it that I don't think I ever knew was a thing before. So what do you think are the 3 key skills that have helped you in your role?
I would say communication skills, definitely. Where we're communicating with people internally, externally, customers as well, either via phone call, email, sometimes even in person. I would say definitely communication skills.
Yeah.
I would also say adaptability. So touching on what I just said about obviously the new systems, it's important to adjust to new things like that and like new processes, being able to move from old to new. I feel like sometimes people struggle with that, so it's important within this role that you are open to new things because it's evolving.
It changes.
Yeah. And I would say time management, especially in our role, because obviously it requires you to prioritise your work, meet deadlines. Like I said earlier, it's important to meet the deadlines because if they're not met, silly charges. But yeah, that would be mine. What about you?
I would probably say leadership. Obviously would be quite a key one at the moment, obviously with the management. And I'd just say whether that's just rallying you all up and be positive. And again, I think if we use that new system, I think, like you say, it can have that negative connotation to it of going, oh, it's a bit scary, it's new. And, we have had 2 quite big system changes recently that I think if we can lead positively with that, and I think if that comes from me down to you guys, I think that's positive. That's positive, and everyone definitely feels that effect, I think, on there. Again, a bit like you, the communication. So I'd say the communication down to you guys and the communication up for me would need to be, that always needs to be sort of spot on. You guys need to know what I'm expecting of you and what you need to deliver, and I need to communicate that to above as well. So I think on that one. I think then for the third one, I'd probably say would be kind of links with the communication, would be the interpersonal skills. I think we're all human, right? And we all started from somewhere of that. And I think that's key to remain, is that we're all still people.
Yeah.
We've got a lot on at work, and I get it. And I think we spend a lot of time at work together. That imagine if we all just hated each other, which we don't. We like spending time with each other, and it's that environment that you create. So I think that's quite important to make it an environment that you enjoy coming to. And, and that's for all of us as a team, we all have to work on doing that and make it, I think it's quite a safe environment where we all talk about whatever's going on and we're really honest with each other and, you guys honest with me about stuff and vice versa.
So what would be some of the biggest challenges you've faced?
I think, as I touched on before, with Brexit and COVID, I think that's a real big challenge for everyone. I mean, even if you're not in shipping and customs, and you could see it when you were going to the shops and there was no toilet roll or no stuff that you wanted on the shelves at that time. I think it had an effect on everyone, and I know our productivity was booming. Like, the amount of entries and declarations that we had were sky high. We really had to get a lot, and we had to employ a lot of people as well. So it was that case of that brought opportunities because we were having to do more work as well. So it's kind of on a balance of, it was a challenge, but it did have some reward for people because there was more room for development as well. So what would be the best training you've received so far?
I would probably say my level 2 Customs Academy, which is actually funded by Maersk, which was really helpful because from joining with no knowledge whatsoever on the whole industry, it really helped me whilst learning in the job on the side to also learn like every detail, because it was very like full on. It was so much detail and so many like little tests, but it wasn't so what's the word, full on, like as in you could take your own, it was in your own time, you could go through it in your own time, and I feel like that really helped me with no knowledge to then build on that. What do you see yourself doing in your career over the next few years?
Oh, I think obviously just continue with that management role and see where that sort of takes us well. And I think for our company, especially at the minute, there is a big focus on AI and that automation of products. So I would like to get a bit more involved in that and see how that can make our processes even better.
Yeah.
I think obviously with our new system coming on board at the minute as well, that's really pushing that, and I think we've got to get involved on that before we can get any further with our process to make that better. So I think I'd like to see that and learn more about that, because I'm the first to say not very skilled in AI.
Me too.
So I like to learn that in the more few years, because it is something that's, it's moving with the times, right? That's how it works.
Okay.
So how do you see customs and international trade evolving in the future?
So same sort of thing you said, like with AI and the new systems. I feel since I joined Maersk, I've seen a big difference in things we do for ourselves compared to now, what the computer can do and what can be done online or through reports, etc. So I think sort of just in that way, evolving into big and better things that are more useful, less time consuming. What about you?
Yeah, I think along the same would just be that more AI and automation on it, just to make processes quicker.
Yeah.
So that then we can take more work, basically, and have that more, I think everyone says about it, market share and all of that, just so that we can, expand on that. And customs, I think everyone who brings goods into country obviously needs a customs agent. So if we can make our process slicker and, more accurate and more compliant, get that 100% compliant by enhancing these tools to help us, then I think that's the way forward.